Well, good morning and welcome to our kitchen today for our Lent reflection, as we're going to start looking at the journeys of Jesus in the Gospel stories. Well, today is World's Women Day. Why have a day dedicated to women? Well, it's simply because women have been and continue to be objectified, vilified. They have less access to education, healthcare, food, legal rights, economic security, and basic simple freedoms. Women are barred from many professions simply because of their gender. We have a colleague in Baptist ministry who often gets hate mail from Christian leaders simply because, as a church leader, she is a woman. So today we're going to start our week looking at Jesus's journeys. The woman that we're going to look at has been vilified throughout history. Some feminist commentaries even regard her as a little bit suspect, as a sinner. But this woman is an evangelist. She spreads the good news, and she is the first person in the Gospel of John to whom Jesus actually tells who he really is, that he is the Messiah. So we're going to be looking at John chapter 4 and the woman of Samaria. If you want to read the story for yourselves, it's a lovely little story in John 4. This woman, go back a bit. John tells us that it was necessary for Jesus to travel through Samaria. The disciples have gone to the marketplace to buy food, and he is tired, so he just sits down by the well. Now, we don't know why it was necessary for Jesus to go through Samaria. He just had to. When the Samaritan woman comes to draw water, he asks her for a drink. Now, she probably recognises that he is a Jew because of his accent. When we were living in Wales, you could tell the different valleys had slightly different accents. You could tell if someone came from Caerphilly or from Abertrydda, and they were only 3 miles apart. Being in Samaria, it's hardly surprising that the woman who comes to the well is a Samaritan. When I read that, I found that quite funny. But Jesus doesn't let gender bias or racial bias get in the way. He just asks her for a drink. And the ensuing conversation about living water and the water of life is the subject of many sermons, but we're not going there. Jesus asks her to go and fetch her husband, and this is where it gets awkward. What is this woman doing getting water in the middle of the day? Some commentators say it's because she's been ostracized by the rest of the village because of her sin. But maybe she'd just simply run out of water. Maybe with a family to deal with, she has gone to the well for a little bit of peace and quiet, knowing that there will be no one there. Or maybe she's not as young as she was, having had 5 husbands. Maybe getting up early in the morning really was not helpful. The fact that she had had 5 husbands has been pounced on by many, pointing to her sin. However, women's rights were fragile. Men could divorce their wives simply for burning the supper. Disease was rampant, and so her husbands may have died. If we place this story into, say, modern-day Palestine and switch genders, we could have a different scenario. So Richard and I are going to act out a little drama, placing this story into modern day. Can you fix my car? I have to drive through Samaria in Palestine, but my car has conked out.
You want me, a Palestinian, to fix your car? And you're a Jew? Aren't you worried that I might put a bomb under the bonnet or do some sabotage?
No. But if you know who was asking you to fix your car, you would ask me to fix your life. Go and get your wife.
Well, so I have no wife.
True. You've had 5 wives. And the woman living in your house isn't your wife either.
You must be a prophet. I have had 5 wives. The first died in childbirth because we were denied access to the hospital in time. The second was killed by an Israeli sniper. She was where she shouldn't have been. The third ran away with a soldier. The fourth died from COVID. We don't have the vaccine here yet. A fifth was arrested and charged with being a member of Hezbollah and a spy. And the woman who is living with me, well, I'd like to marry her, but there is resistance from her family. But she needs security. She needs a home, and I'm willing to give that to her.
Thank you, Richard. So, is the mechanic a sinner? Or is he just unlucky in love? Perhaps he's a bit of a jack of the lad. Is the woman a sinner? Or is she a victim? What is interesting is that she does go back to the village and tells everyone to come and see. This is the same invitation that Andrew gives to his brother Peter when he meets Jesus. Come and see. And this is the invitation we are asked to bring to others. Come and see. The woman tells Jesus that she knows the Messiah will come. And Jesus says to her, I am. The first time he acknowledges his identity. And he does so not to a Jew, not to one of the disciples, no, to a woman, to an outsider, to someone who is regarded by the church ever since as being somewhat suspect. The woman leaves her water jar just as the disciples left their nets, and she is obedient. She doesn't just fetch her family, but she fetches the whole village. Jesus stayed in Sychar for 2 days, and many Samaritans believed, trusting the good news that Jesus is the Saviour of the world. And that means the whole world. Women, men, children, insiders, outsiders, foreigners, and the word also means the whole of creation. This woman's invitation, come and see, come and meet Jesus, come and judge for yourselves, meant that a greater number of people came to know Jesus. So rather than judging her as a sinner, this unnamed woman, regarded by many as an outsider and not worthy of our attention, was actually a saint. So we'll see you tomorrow for one of our other journeys. I don't know where we're going on the journey tomorrow, but
we shall see. It will be a surprise.
So every blessing to you. Bye-bye.
It's got a bit manic there.